Welcome to the Morton Memorial Library's Holiday Show. We've brought back a couple of your favorite performances, and we've added some new ones as well. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Don't you? Huh? What is it? Christmas Eve, that's right. You guys want to go to bed? You ready to go to bed?
No!
No, why? Why?
We want to stay up late and see Santa!
Oh, well,
Me too!
you too? Well, you know, he doesn't come if you're awake. And I know you're not tired yet, so why don't you sit down and I'll tell you the story of the night before Christmas. All right? You ready? 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even the mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Bobsha in her kerchief and I in my cap, we had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn, there arose such a clatter. I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Well, away to the window I flew like a flash. I tore open the shutters. I threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave a luster like midday to objects below, when what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh with 8 tiny reindeer, and a little old driver so lively and quick. Well, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles, his coursers they came, and he whistled, he shouted, he called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle and mount to the sky, so up to the rooftop his coursers they flew, with a sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. And then, in a twinkling, I heard on the roof prancing and pawing of each tiny reindeer hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur, from his head to his foot. His clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. Oh, a bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. Oh, his eyes, how they twinkled. His dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was as white as the snow. A stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke, it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face, and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was jolly and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him, in spite of myself. Well, a wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon led me to know I had nothing to dread. Oh, he said not a word. He went straight to work. He filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying his finger alongside his nose and nodding his head, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, as he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night."
'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house I searched for the tools to hand to my spouse. Instructions were studied, and we were inspired, in hopes we could manage some assembly required. The children were quiet, not asleep in their beds, while Dad and I faced the evening with dread. A kitchen, 2 bikes, Barbie's townhouse to boot, and thanks to Grandpa, a train with a toot. We opened the boxes, my heart skipped a beat. Let no parts be missing or parts incomplete. Too late for last minute returns or replacement. If we can't get it right, it goes in the basement. When what to my worrying eyes should appear but 50 sheets of directions, concise but not clear, with each part numbered and every slot named, so if we failed, only we could be blamed. More rapid than eagles, the parts then fell out. All over the carpet they were scattered about. Now bolt it, now twist it, attach it right there. Slide on the seats and staple the stair. Hammer the shelves and nail to the stand. Honey, said hubby, you just glued my hand. Then in a twinkling, I knew for a fact that all the toy dealers had indeed made a pact to keep parents busy all Christmas Eve night with assembly required till morning's first light. We spoke not a word, but kept bent at our work, till our eyes they went bleary, our fingers all hurt. The coffee went cold, and the night it wore thin, before we attached the last rod and last pin. Then, laying the tools away in the chest, we fell into bed for a well-deserved rest. But I said to my husband, just before I passed out, this will be the best Christmas without any doubt. Tomorrow we'll cheer, let the holiday ring, and not have to run to the store for a thing. We did it, the toys are all set for the perfect, most perfect Christmas, I bet. Then off to dreamland and sweet repose I gratefully went. Though there's something to say for those self-deluded. I'd forgotten, the batteries are never included.
It happened about 10 years ago in Brooklyn, New York. All day long, a heavy snow was falling, and towards evening, the sky cleared and a few stars appeared. A frost set in. It was the 8th day of Hanukkah, and my lovely brass Hanukkah lamp stood on the windowsill with all of the candles burning. It was mirrored in the window pane, and I imagined another lamp outside. My wife Esther was frying potato pancakes. I sat with my son David at a table and played dreidel with him. Suddenly, David cried out, "Papa, look!" And he pointed to the window. I looked up and I saw something that seemed unbelievable. Outside on the windowsill stood a yellow-green bird watching the candles. A parakeet had escaped from its home somewhere, had flown out into the cold street and landed on our windowsill, perhaps attracted by the light. I carried away the Hanukkah lamp so that the bird would not burn itself when entering, and then I opened the window and with a quick wave of my hand, shooed the parakeet inside. In the beginning, the frightened bird flew from wall to wall. It hit itself against the ceiling and for a while hung from the crystal prism in the chandelier. David tried to calm it. "Don't be afraid, little bird. We are your friends." Presently, the bird flew toward David and landed on his head. David began to dance and laugh with joy. My wife in the kitchen heard the noise and came out to see what happened. When she saw the bird on David's head, she asked, "Where did you get a bird all of a sudden?" "Mama, it just came to our window." "To the window in the middle of the winter? Papa saved his life." David lifted his hand to his forehead, and the bird settled on his finger. Esther placed a saucer of millet and a dish of water on the table, and the parakeet ate and drank. It saw the dreidel and began to push it with its beak. David exclaimed, "Look, the bird plays dreidel." David soon began to talk about buying a cage for the bird and also about giving it a name, but Esther and I reminded him that the bird was not ours. We would try to find the owners. David said, "Meanwhile, let's call it dreidel." That night, Dreidel slept on a picture frame and woke us in the morning with its singing. The parakeet must have belonged to a house where Yiddish was spoken because we heard it say, Zedle geschlafen, which means Zedel, go to sleep. And these simple words uttered by the tiny creature filled us with wonder and delight. Next day, I posted a notice in the elevators of the neighborhood houses. It said we had found a Yiddish-speaking parakeet. I advertised in the newspaper for which I wrote, but a week went by, nobody claimed the bird. Only then did Dreidel become ours. We bought a large cage with all the fittings and toys that a bird might want. Because Hanukkah is a festival of freedom, we resolved never to lock the cage. Dreidel was free to fly around the house whenever he pleased. The man in the pet shop had told us that the bird was a male. In our house, Dreidel learned scores of Yiddish and English and Hebrew words. David taught him to sing a song, a Hanukkah song, and there was always a wooden dreidel in the cage for him to play with. Well, our son David grew up and entered college. One winter night, he went to a Hanukkah party. He told us that he'd be home late. We had just fallen asleep when the telephone rang. It was David. It seemed that David had told the story of our parakeet to his fellow students at the party, and a girl named Zelda Rosen had exclaimed, I am the Zedel. We lost our parakeet some time ago, about 9 years. Zelda and her parents lived not far from us, but they'd never seen the notice in the newspaper or the ones posted in the elevators. Zelda was now a student and a friend of David's. The next day, Zelda and her parents came to see their long-lost pet. Zelda was a beautiful and gifted girl. Not only did the Rosens recognize their bird, but the bird seemed to recognize his former owners. The Rosens used to call him Zip Zip, and when the parakeet heard them say Zip Zip, it became flustered and started to fly from one member of the family to the other, screeching, flapping its wing. Both Zelda and her mother cried when they saw the beloved bird alive. The father stared silently, then he said, we have never forgotten our Zip Zip. Well, so I was ready to return the parakeet to its original owners, but Esther and David argued that they should never part with Dreidel. It was also not necessary because that day David and Zelda decided to get married after the graduation from college. So Dreidel is still with us, always eager to learn new words, new games. And when David and Zelda marry, they will take Dreidel from their new home to their new home. Zelda has often said, Dreidel was our matchmaker.
Hi, my name's Michelle Kafel. I'm going to sing a couple Christmas songs for you. I hope you enjoy them and have a happy holidays. Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Truly he taught us to love one another. His law is love, and his gospel is peace. Chains shall he break, for the slave is our brother, and in his name all oppression shall cease. Sweet hymns of joy in grateful chorus raise we, let all within us praise his holy name. Christ is the Lord. Then evermore we praise thee. His power proclaim. Noel, Noel, Noel. Oh, night divine, oh, night, holy night. I'm pretty sure that my son would love to have this one for Christmas. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas card I write. May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and children listen to and hearts will be glowing when loved ones are near. It's the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be parties for hosting, marshmallows for roasting, and caroling out in the snow. There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago. Oh, it's the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be much mistletoeing and hearts will be glowing when loved ones are near. It's the most wonderful time. It's the most wonderful time. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Amazing grace, how sweet